Here we go.
Oh, is it working?
Second.
Yep. Just got a notification.
Yeah, I see a red thing. Terry.
I had a phone call. Yes, taking phone calls.
Can you change
There we
that?
go.
E3 still worth to E3 paywall.
Nah, E3 still worth. Paywall makes it weird. You gotta make it clickbait. E3 paywall doesn't.
E3
clickbait.
paywall is clickbait.
Oh, it's not.
It's pure bait.
Click on the E3 being a paywall. It's already a paywall.
Roger, cue that Wale song bait. Quick.
Wow.
Oh god.
Well, now he's trying to DM our channel, so it was fun while it lasted, guys. We had a good.
You just play that portion of it. That's it. Just a quick 3-second snippet. We claim fair usage.
Oh, YouTube doesn't care about 3 seconds or 3 minutes. It doesn't matter to them.
It's like a not picky woman. 3 seconds or 3 minutes. It's all the same. Probably accomplished the same amount.
Poor 3-minute person.
Better than 3-second person.
You broke Terry.
Someone always has it worse than you. Just remember that. Could be a guy out there can't even get it up. Then 3-second guy is like a king to him.
Games over here say facts for the rest.
Could always be worse. Could be Varys.
God damn.
Then guy who can't get it up would be like, damn, I have it so much better than Varys.
I feel like Keith is trying to figure out what you're talking about, but it
dawned on me because I thought you said barracks at first, and I was like, the dude from Destiny? What the hell? But then I realized what he said.
Oh, all right, cool. All right.
Cup has a hole in it?
No, I thought the sticker was still on the bottom of it. Not. All right, I think we're good.
All right.
If anybody else would like to confirm that we are good.
I heard.
As far as I know.
Song.
Far as
Keith,
I know,
what theme song do you want? You want the Power Rangers theme
Roger
song or
said
the
he
Pokemon one?
created the acapella theme song that he's going to do.
The acapella.
Are we going with Power Rangers theme song or Pokemon?
Oh, Roger said he was also going to pull out a guitar and have a guitar solo.
Oh man, I must be talented.
I feel like super far. That one. Roger, where's your guitar?
I go in the other room. I wish I had a guitar.
All right. Y'all ready?
I mean, we're live, so we have no choice but to be ready.
I mean, we can always take the live down and then come back. It's
Done it once already.
Way out. There's always a way out.
There's never.
People can get divorced there. There's a way out. Now.
Oh.
All right. What's going on, everybody? It's Almost in Full Color podcast. We are back. Almost in Full Color panel, should I say. The podcast is back. We have Drinking Gaines with us, well as Drinking Terry and Drinking Roger, and Sober Keith. That's a lie.
This is just not showing up. He has a glass of wine in his hand.
It's not in my hands.
Mr. 3 months over here.
I wish the wine would just magically just float in the air after that. But how's everybody doing this evening?
All
right.
This is just, I'm all right.
Just all right.
Gaines is about to blow through that entire case by the time we're done.
I'm only one beer in, so I'm only all right now.
Nah.
My goal is to destroy this case and then just pass out in the floor here. Wake up feeling sad.
And then start with the second case you have in the fridge.
Second case is for tomorrow for Easter. Apparently, we need beers for Easter for our guests. We're drinking to the Lord's resurrection.
Got
to start somewhere.
Are any of y'all invited?
No, I didn't get invited either.
I'm used to not being invited from this group.
Very low key family gathering, sir. And it's not even. Well, I guess it is my family now.
I was about to say, what do you mean? Yeah, Gaines is rethinking that now. It
All
seems.
right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll start our first topic. We all been playing Outriders. So,
Oh,
first
you
and
call it
foremost,
playing
Playing.
Outriders? Okay.
if you can
Playing
look
Outriders.
past the issues of playing the game, once you got your hands
Playing.
on the game, how do you all feel about the game so far
When I
from
can
what you
pl-
got?
When I can play, I'll let you know.
Oh my gosh.
We can actually play the game. We'll let you know.
I mean,
Sorry.
I've been able to play in spurts. That's the only way I've been able to play. But no, honestly though, when I'm actually able to play the game for maybe the 30 to 40 minutes max, that's probably as long as I've been able to stay online before being kicked. It's actually a really good game. Like I was telling Roger, really feels like and makes sense because the people behind it, made Gears or whatever, or at least part of the Gears games. It feels like Gears and like Division like had a baby, and it was like, here you go. I mean, it moves just like Gears. Like I feel like a lot of the aiming feels like Gears. If you notice, like the shotgun reticle and the sniper reticle like looks just like the ones off Gears, and a lot of the cover system has like that heavy weight to it. Like when you like go into cover, is like you throwing your whole body against it. Just has that real Gears feel to it, with a lot of the RPG aspects from Division, to where it's putting on different gear. That gear having different perks, and of course, a bunch of different weapons. But I mean, I actually really enjoy it, even though I'm only in the story. So I don't know how it's going to change after I finish the story, and I guess the real game begins. I would assume is how that's going to work. But again, from what I've been able to play, I really enjoy it enough to be upset that I can't play it the way I want to. So I guess that's a good and a bad thing. Bad that I can't play, but good because obviously I enjoy the game, or else I wouldn't be upset that I couldn't get online.
I was worried about the gunplay at first until I think I was actually able to get a purple weapon. Because most of the guns you get is so far were green.
Yep.
But the first purple weapon I got shot lightning out. In Destiny, that's like an exotic. So I'm very curious to know what their exotic tiers are. But so far the game's been fun for what I can actually play, more than 10 to 20 minutes. I think last night I played for an hour before I got kicked off. And today I haven't been able to play at all. But what I played is actually not terrible. Especially now I can turn motion blur off. I'm happy about that part. That's like the biggest thing I'm happy about.
Point out. We all are pretty much, well, I guess Roger and Keith are both on PS5. But almost for the most part, we all are playing on a different platform, which is weird for one game. I guess I know I got it on. I was gonna get it on Xbox as part of the Game Pass, but I decided to just get it on Stadia. But of course crossplay isn't working right now, but that would be something cool to kind of, I guess, check back in on to see how that ends up working, if they end up getting it to work successfully.
I know the beta, it worked fine. Like, I know me and Terry played for a long time, so hopefully it does the same. It's just the annoyance of the code. That's the only problem I have with it.
Yeah, we played the whole first part of the story together, basically. Like, when we were playing then, it was smooth. Like I said, the only complaint that we had at the time was motion blur and the camera shaking, which seems to have been dwindled down a lot since the release, which is, I think it's good because it fit. But from when we were able to play crossplay, it was good, but it seems like it's going to take forever for them to fix it. Sounds like it's a patch that's needed.
Yeah, I was about to say the core game just came back to working 8 minutes ago, according to their status thing. So shows that. But my overall opinions was I played the beta, like I mentioned, and I like it because it reminds me of a bunch of games, but is being its own self at the same time. Because I mean, obviously elements of Destiny, Terry has mentioned. Gaines went over to Gears stuff and Division. We also mentioned like the Borderlands feel with the numbers. But yet we have like them skills. Like I played the Technomancer with the turret gun. I just found out I can get rocket launchers and do some different stuff that I haven't really seen in many games. And fighting a lot of the bosses is a little different too. Like I kind of like that you got elements that but it's different and wanting us to play but it's hard to play at the moment.
Yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot of RPG elements I'm getting down with. As Terry mentioned, you know, the guns have their own perks and things of that nature. Armor has its own perks and stuff that you can get with certain types of armor. And then on top of that, you also have a class that you can kind of spec into that will
Yep.
also buff things. So like real RPG heavy. It seems like a lot of thought went into that. Just the whole thing entirely. I think the question now is going to be content. Is it enough? Because you know, people burn and burn games up like crazy. And if there ain't enough there, they're going to complain that they got to rerun the same thing. It's what marred the first division. It's what killed Anthem. So hopefully they saw what occurred. Destiny stood up to it and ultimately put out content, and people stuck around for it. And it was good content. So they were less loud about it. Well, they were loud about it, but they just stuck around to support that content when it came out. Division and Anthem, they just didn't stick around to support whatever. Well, I don't even think Anthem put out content, to be honest with you.
I would say Destiny.
I don't
Saying
know.
Destiny and content though for the first one, whatever. What I don't know what it was that made us.
Maybe it was the PvP
Destiny
aspect that existed there. There was still something else to kind of do. I don't know. Destiny is a weird outlier.
Yeah.
It was the first of its type as well. So I think that also helped. There was nothing else on the market like Destiny when it dropped.
I will say whatever Destiny did, every single one of us was hooked at the time. I mean, I still remember us staying up till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to do a raid or just doing strikes and getting, of course, keep getting the Red Death on the first week, and like that was amazing to us. Like I don't know what it was that Destiny did to that, and maybe Outriders can it. But I mean, I don't think anything kind of stand up to that right now. But I wouldn't say content for Destiny really was it though.
I mean, I think the thing that kind of helped Destiny through that period was kind of like you said, we were staying up playing a lot, but the random rolls, like the random rolls and the random drops when you would do a raid, you could do a raid as much as you wanted for the most part. Well, no, I guess
Like
not.
once.
No, I take that back. But like certain strikes and stuff like that, like you could keep running and you could possibly get an exotic. You could possibly get, you know, a certain drop or whatever. And especially back then, random rolls were like a big thing. You know, like you had to get that drop of that gun to get that to get those rolls on the gun or whatever. So I think that kind of helped them get through the part of not having content, because even though you were running the same stuff, you could get different rewards. And it seems like Outriders is kind of going down that path as well. I know if you run the side quests, you can run them as much as you want, but every time you run them, you get different rewards. So that might be kind of what they're thinking on doing, because for the hardcore grinders, you're going to burn through it. I don't think any game is ever going to have enough content for like the hardcore players who just run through everything and going to play every bit that they can. Like it's just not made for that. It's not made for someone to sit there and put like 8 hours a day into the game. So, but I mean, other than that though, that might help them. Like I said, just from random drops of guns. I don't even know how many guns are supposed to be in this game.
I have no
I would
idea.
assume a lot. Kind of like Terry said with the lightning, and Roger said that it's like Borderlands. Like that just screams Borderlands to me. A gun that shoots lightning, like just random and over the top. It's like, why do I have a gun that shoot lightning? But I need this gun now. Like, but so I'm looking forward to whatever the game has in store for us beyond the story.
So to the ugly side of this, do you feel that well, outside of the other issues with the crossplay and stuff, if crossplay worked well and all of that jazz, do you feel that having your servers pretty much overloaded is a good sign or a bad sign?
Well,
I'll go right there.
I'll say we don't even know what's wrong with the servers, to be honest. We don't know if it's an overload problem or if it's crossplay that's causing it. Because the game is not constantly online. It's just you're constantly being saved to a server. Their servers just don't make sense. Based off of the way the game works. It doesn't seem like their servers make that much sense. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah. To be honest, like Terry said, I mean, you don't know if they're at max, but it seems like they are, just because they're having the same issues that a lot of day one drops seem to have when they're highly anticipated games, which I guess is a good thing. It's a good thing that you're having issues, because obviously it means a lot of interest in your game. A lot of people are trying to play. It's a bad thing because it can turn off players who don't want to get through that period. Like, there's some of us, obviously, probably all four of us here, are just going to suffer through not being able to connect and getting kicked after we beat a boss and have to fight that boss 4 or 5 fucking times, because autosave just also happens to be quite sporadic in the game. But we're going to suffer through it because we like the game. Some people aren't. So that could be a bad thing. But I know we were talking about it before this live stream, but makes me wonder, like, why don't they just spin up more servers? Because I know there's not physical servers. Like, they're probably using like Amazon, or they're using Microsoft or something, and just running their servers through virtual machines, through the cloud or whatever that you're actually connecting to. So why not just spin up enough that you need? And then as your player base kind of dwindles a little bit and you get that true baseline, kind of just knock those servers off, like, kind of decommission them, so to speak, until you get to a stable number of servers that you need in order to handle the load. But I don't know why. Maybe it's really expensive. I don't know what it costs to do this stuff. So it could be one of those things where it's a lot of money and they're just like, look, there's no point of spending the money just to acquiesce to a week, maybe 2 weeks of like crazy spikes and sign-ins, when on week 3 data shows it drops off by 25%. And that's where we'll be fine once that drop off happens. That always occurs. So maybe that's just the game plan for it.
But yeah, I would say their language doesn't speak like volume numbers there, because a lot of things is fixes, and they like shut down to do like a restart to fix some bugs. So it sounds like it's more bug issue than like scalability by the messages they have. I mean, it could be scalability behind it scenes, but it's just everything's always fixing. They need a patch for the cross platform, stuff like that. So it is hard to tell what's really happening behind the scenes. But yeah, it's I don't know. I do feel like a lot of games still we experience this. I remember games with Madden, like the first week was rough.
Yeah.
I haven't played new Call of Duties on the launch, but I remember Call of Duties used to be a pain, but we were just trying to play multiplayer, so it didn't, like, you'd be like, oh, we got kicked out. Okay, I'll just play a little more. It's not like, oh, dang, I got to fight this boss again. Like, it's not as big impact. So I don't know. Like, a lot of releases, I expect the first weekend always this. Like, I'm one of the people that do get aggravated to replay stuff. So that's why Outriders, I have been kind of like off more than I think everybody else. I'll play when I'm hearing everybody's doing good on experience and play a little bit, but I'm not trying to fight to get in any moment. Like, I just saw the servers coming up. I'm not trying to log in and play as much as I can. It's like I'm gonna wait for it to become a little more stable and get involved.
Yeah, I feel like it's a dual-edged sword. You really like to see that the game is getting some notoriety and all that, but also is getting the bad press as well. So really sucks, because a lot of people will drop off, and we'll see how important population will be at some point. I don't know if it'll be like Destiny, where people are always going to be shouting, looking for just other people to run content, or what. So we'll see how much of a negative impact this, if it has one at all. I mean, it could be a thing once these things get fixed. It's really cool, but I do find it weird because you have Final Fantasy 14, which it's not the same dev team, but it's in-house technically with Square Enix. You would have think they would have, had someone to pretty much bounce a, hey, how are you guys handling your mitigating things or whatever, especially since this is the first game like this that this team has ever done. You would think they would have asked somebody, and who better to ask than that team. But granted, maybe just the communication isn't there for that type of thing. That might be like a weird thing that I'm bringing up. Maybe for them, they're like, "What? We don't talk to other dev teams." Like, and they do that type of RPG. Our RPG is way different. So I don't know. We'll see. With that being said, that brings me into the next topic, which is a weird one. But do you feel like you enjoyed games more so in your youth or now?
No more explanation than that.
I don't know how I got here. I just did.
That's a very
I
interesting
don't
way.
feel like I enjoy games any more than I did as a kid. I mean, I feel like a lot of people, and I always talk to Roger about this all the time, but everything is always better when you were younger. Like, I've never heard anybody say something was better when they're older, like ever. It's always this was better back in my day, and they're back in your day is usually when you're like late teens, early 20s, you know, when you're at the peak of your powers, so to speak, of invincibility. So I don't feel like I'm having any more fun than I did as a kid. I mean, I guess the only thing that changed was growing up. Of course, we did a lot of couch play. You know, when you play games with people, you had to be at the same house. There wasn't internet really back when we were coming up. I
It
mean,
was
there was
rough if you had it.
yeah. It wasn't internet what we have now, you know, which is crazy thinking of how short span in our lifetimes, like internet has completely like evolved into a whole different animal, from taking up to a minute to load a damn picture to now you can download a movie in a minute, you know, depending on your connection. But I actually kind of like it now. I mean, it's different, but we can still play games without being in each other's house. And I guess as you get older, that's actually really convenient because we all have our own lives. We all have our own, you know, families and things we need to attend to. Like we just can't link up like we used to because we have responsibilities, things to do. We have jobs. So the internet kind of has definitely helped bridge that gap, which was something we wouldn't have had back then. So I think if that would have carried on, we probably wouldn't game as much as we do. Or if we did, it probably wouldn't be as enjoyable as it is. So I guess long story short, I do enjoy it the same, even though I enjoy it differently. But I still get the same joy out of getting brand new games and brand new systems. Like that hasn't changed as I've gotten older.
I'm about to say I can go next. I'm about to say I
I
think
had nothing right that.
oh, it's just a factor. I think time and money is the big factor of like how you view stuff. We have money now, so we could buy multiple games, and I feel like that's a positive and negative because I'll buy maybe a couple games, but then some of them I won't play as long because I have these other games to beat. Like Outriders is going to take some time, and I bought like Tabletop Simulator, and I played that for a little bit. So it's like those games get kind of pushed off. So I feel like there's games I'm not playing and don't have memories of. And then the money with that as a younger kid, I would get like Halo is probably a bad example, but I had Halo for the Xbox. That was the only Xbox game I had for a long time, probably like a year and a half before my parents got me another game. So it was like I have good memories because I had like 2 games I could only play most of the time. So it was like a draw. And I know games I joked about, like Mario Time Machine is always the one I always joke about. But it was like you had that, you're kind of stuck with it. Like
Yeah.
you're gonna play it.
If you just got that game, you're not getting another game for another few months or so.
And I think the
Don't be
third
asking
thing,
for another $60 game.
the third thing is just nostalgia memory. I think you always remember the good games with his. It was always better back in my day. And the best example I could think of is what happened today. I saw my little cousin was watching Good Burger. I have probably good memories of it. I saw that. It looks horrible. So it's like, it's that nostalgia mindset. I mean, I bought a lot of the not remasters, but the games they like re-release later on. You're like, oh man, I love this game. I'm gonna play it, and you play it for 10
So you
minutes.
play the original.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, I remember this bug, this thing. Oh, a 64 shooter. It's really weird to control. I forgot about like all that stuff comes back.
GoldenEye with the auto aim, and you're like, how the fuck did I play this shit?
So I
But
think
you
you
don't
always
want to say it because you like have so much loyalty to it. You're like, this is really good. I enjoy this. I just need to learn again.
So I think your memory's always like tainted with that. It's just you remember things better than what they were because that was the peak of like technology. GoldenEye came out was ridiculous when it came out, but
Yeah.
now it's like, oh god, they improved so much.
I will say nostalgia definitely plays more of a factor in it because I could go right now and play Kingdom Hearts and I'm, what is this game and why in the world did I love it so? Because now the controls suck. Kingdom Hearts 1 controls are terrible.
Something must have happened there.
I felt that way about the first, second, maybe third Metal Gear Solid when I was playing them on stream, like maybe a couple years ago or so. I was like, good God, these controls and these cameras are the worst. How did I enjoy this? But and it's funny because even games like Final Fantasy VII, I don't know, that's Keith's baby. Like Keith loves that game. But like if you didn't have like that background with the game, you would never know where to go. Without those stupid like arrows that they put on the map, like you don't know what's interactable and what's not. Like, can I climb this ladder? Can I not? Do I walk into this building? Do I not? Like everything looks like a still picture. So it's just really weird how like it's one of those things you should never go back to.
I went back to Kingdom Hearts and it shouldn't have. I should have just left it as it was.
I think I enjoyed games a little bit more in my youth, mainly because I think it may be like what Roger's saying, but for some things, especially cheat type things, there are just things that you had to kind of go out of your way to find and then just go in the rush, like the GTA cheats to get fucking max stars and all these things going down and crazy guns and all that. And I think like my best example of like a moment where a very exciting moment was when I learned Akuma's ultimate in Street Fighter vs. Tekken, or not Street Fighter vs. Tekken, Street Fighter versus X-Men. When I first pulled off that Shin Masatsu Goketsu move, or oh my god, like it was like, wow, this is crazy. Because I remember hearing about it. It's like, yo, Akuma touches you and the screen turns white, and you just see a bunch of shit, and then he's just standing over your dead body. You're like, wait, nah, that's not real. You got to go home and try it. And it was just, I think it may be that nostalgia thing, but I think there was a lot more excitement. But I think now that I'm older, I think I've been able to appreciate the art form a little bit more. I think back then it was just trying to do cool stuff. Everyone, ever since like the dawn of games, is trying to break a game. So, or just figure out the little cheats to do, whether it be, you know, looking for the spot in Ninja Gaiden that you can hide out that the enemies can't hit you or whatever, to, you know, Mario flying outside of the map to come down. Like, just ever since ever, people have always looked for the things to do. And back then you had to go load up that old dial-up internet and go on as Jeeves to figure out what it is you're supposed to do, or all that, figure it out and go home, try it out and see if it worked or not. So I think there was more of an excitement factor back then, but that may have been because of the times and how we consume things back then versus now, where everything's at our fingertips pretty much. And also because we're older and we have kind of stable lives, I guess, we can, you know, afford to get a lot of these things, and we have a lot of things that we can just go and look at and get. And also we have the luxury of, like you all said, internet that has made things much easier. Yeah, it's made things definitely much easier in the past.
What's going on?
What on, Vic Plaza? Welcome to the stream, brother.
That being said, we get to the big one.
Hold on, we got a question here.
What's the question?
Vic is asking, you guys think Xbox is going to improve JRPG titles? And there's, I think that's a key question.
Xbox needs to improve games in this generation. I got Xbox, and this is not. It's nothing to play outside of Game Pass. It really is nothing to play. So hopefully we get some better JRPGs, but I don't think Xbox is going to bring them. It'd probably be a Sony thing.
I don't know. Sony or Nintendo.
I mean, it'd be nice if they revived or went back to it, because they have like Blue Dragon before.
Blue Dragon was nice. Yeah, Blue Dragon's real fun on the 360.
Then you had Lost Odyssey.
I think that was like 3 discs too.
Yeah.
God, it's crazy. We don't get multiple discs anymore. That used to be a thing.
I would just get 3 different games that get sold separately.
They had Blue Dragon. They had Lost Odyssey. Lost Odyssey was a really good JRPG. Yeah. They had another game that I think PlayStation had too that we won't speak on because that game was garbage. Fucking Last Remnant.
Last Remnant was amazing.
That was the worst JRPG game ever. I'm so mad there was a status element you couldn't heal. Like, what sense does that make? And it was just 50-50 if you died or not.
That's the perfect sense right there.
Like, that's all it was.
That's perfect right there. I don't know. I think Nintendo and Sony probably will just continue on with it.
Well,
I don't
it
think
makes sense. They're
Microsoft.
in Japan, so.
Well, I mean, I don't think Microsoft's ever gonna. Well, they might be able to partner with somebody, but I don't know. I think Nintendo and Sony just kind of.
Well, I mean, Xbox is kind of getting the JRPGs. They're getting them late. Like they're getting Final Fantasy VII, the remake, but I think they actually get it this month. I want to say.
Yeah, a lot of people speculated that's why it was the free game last month, because the timetable was about to run up on it, and then Xbox was going to end up getting it. So you make it free on PlayStation, it just makes it more attractive to
get a PlayStation,
get a PlayStation and get Final Fantasy VII remake versus having to go to Xbox and get it there. I'm actually shocked Xbox didn't put or isn't going to put it on Game Pass the moment it hits, but
they might.
That's the type of stuff they do.
Wasn't Final Fantasy? I think Final Fantasy VII, the original game, is on Game Pass. There's a couple Final Fantasy titles on Game Pass, which I was shocked that Sony let that happen. But I mean, I guess they don't have much say over what Square Enix does with their titles.
Probably not.
I was to say, I know they started bringing them the later games over, and I know Nintendo has some of the old Final Fantasies again.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Nintendo keeps them all. Nintendo's starting to bring them all to the Switch. The Switch is like the best console for those type of games too, though.
Octopath Travelers on.
Oh wow!
Is it?
I know that.
Oh well, I'm playing that then. God, I was holding off on that for the Switch for a while.
I know that. It's a great game on the Switch.
We're definitely playing that then.
Oh, good luck.
I wish I knew you were holding off. I traded mine in.
I still have mine.
I've been holding off because I wanted it for cheap, and it kept holding its value.
Well, you're Nintendo. Nintendo.
Yeah. But it's on Stadia too. So I was like hoping for maybe a Stadia, like one of those pro sales where it was like $20. But that and Red Dead Redemption never seems to be the fucking pro deal ever. Everything else is pro deal except for those two. So I was like, but now that it's on Game Pass, I'm definitely gonna play it on the Xbox.
It's worth
That'll
it.
give me a reason to turn it on.
Just be prepared for playing a lot of hours. I will say.
What's a JRPG? What do you expect, Terry?
But that's 8 different stories in one game for each person. Good luck.
So E3 was said to originally have a paywall, and that paywall would allow you access to special demos that only is $35 was the asking fee. And if you pay that, you got special demos of games that you'll be able to get through, I guess, running out a virtual computer. It didn't necessarily specify how it was going to be given to you, these demos, but you're supposed to be able to play some demos that were going to be at E3 because of the times. I mean, it was going to be at E3, but there are going to be demos, there are going to be special trailers that you would get to see, and behind the scenes access to games in development that wouldn't be shown normally. I guess people fussed, and now they said, hey, they never were doing that, and that was never a thing, and E3 is just going to be the normal way. Does that $35 to play these demos, does that sound like a bad deal to you? Well, I guess split it off. Does that sound like a bad deal to put a paywall on, put a price tag on that, and is $35 too steep of a price tag on that?
Okay, so one, we all know this is happening because of COVID. You know, you can't have people there, so they're trying to branch out different ways. So I'll tackle this from 2 different ways, because one, I can see it as a good thing, and then I can also see it as a bad thing. One is it can be good because it can kind of give people access to E3 or to like you said, behind the scenes, or to exclusive demos that people only get to play that actually got to attend E3. And not everyone gets to just go to E3. You know, you don't, if you want to go, doesn't mean you're going to get to go. So it kind of would give you a way to get that type of access without having to be physically there, because obviously, like I said, I mean, there's only so many tickets. Not everybody can get there. So it would actually expand revenue for them, which would obviously be good for them, but it also helps people who would rather pay maybe a reduced price because you're not in the building, you're not physically there, but you still actually get to play those exclusive demos, see those behind the scenes trailers and things like that. So you can kind of feel like you were still a part of the exclusivity of E3, if that makes sense, what the commoners didn't get to see. But the bad part is I can see that going down the path of how we feel about DLC. So once you start doing that, how do we know that you're not just pulling a lot of stuff and adding it to this pay for play or pay to see type, deal, to where now E3 starts to feel like it's a little more watered down. And it's like, are they moving the heavy hitting content, maybe the God of Wars, the next chapter of the Final Fantasy VII remake trailer? Are they kind of slating that more towards the paying people because they want to incentivize you to pay? And I would rather it not go that route, because I feel like we always have that argument with DLC, especially when DLC drops like 2 months after a game drops. And we're like, yeah, you probably just had this content ready and you just kind of held it back to get another 10, $15 out of everybody who already paid. Looks like it's about to be $70 for this generation of games. So it's a good and a bad thing. I mean, it could be either or, but I guess we'll see what happens. Like you said, they walked it back, so it doesn't seem like it's going to happen because people weren't having it.
Yeah, I was about to say, if they keep the 35, it sounded like they were giving you the con experience for the price. So it didn't sound like they were touching any of the showcases they normally streamed. And when the con was going on, they did have a bunch of other stuff you never got to see normally. So it sounds like they were just giving you access to it to basically reap benefits of having the con and paying for stuff that way. So I didn't see nothing wrong with that. And like Gaines mentioned, you're always the fear of, okay, they did that. I still got to watch my showcases, but next year, are they going to continue it? Is the showcases going to get smaller? Well, a lot of companies don't even go to E3 anymore. They have their own showcase. So you're kind of weird bubble. So I don't mind it, but I was the guy that also paid for a live stream concert too. So
yes, yes, you did.
So
I feel like those would be better with stuff like the Oculus, like some type of VR. I feel like that'd be cool. What if you could get like some type of little like robot or something on wheels that just like rolled around E3 and went to all the booths, and you just sat at home like a zombie and you're like I'm there.
You reminded me of the is it the Thunderdome or whatever WWE does? The whole crowd is just screens of fans with their webcams now. It's really weird. Yeah.
It would be interesting if they continue with it or not. I mean, we only kind of sat around for E3 just for the conferences. I mean, outside of that, we would see videos pop up online for demos. I don't know if there's really anything we cared for it. If people pay, they pay. But as long as it's not taken away from the normal experience we have, it is what it is.
Yeah, I feel like 35 potentially is too steep. I mean, it didn't say how many demos you got, or if you had to pick and choose which demos, if it was like, oh, you got 5 demos to try and you just got to pick which 5 you want to try or whatever. And if that's the case, if everybody wanted to try the God of War demo and it's like, oh, okay, well, you got to wait in line for it, for the virtual PC to open up or whatever, because they probably weren't going to put a whole lot into it. So in terms of resources, but it sounds like a good idea, but I just don't know if the $35 was I think it was a little bit too high, because again, you don't know what's going to be shown at E3. So it's not like, I mean, you may go in and just get a bunch of indie titles and maybe that's not your thing. So now you feel a little cheated because you were hoping to get some AAA demos out there, but you didn't. So it was all going to differ person to person on what it's worth in the end.
So Keith, the gamer badge was $165. That was originally for E3 2020, and then you had a premium badge that was $995. So,
God,
wow.
Never mind, 35 ain't bad. We paid that
$900.
Keith, why are you complaining, man? Why'd you just complain about 35?
Was your hotel included in that? Was the flight in there too?
Well, that's why I looked up the conference, because it's like conferences are kind of decently priced. So 35. Granted, yes, you're not walking around meeting people. It depends if they even do like a store online, but you don't get a lot of the booth stuff. You're usually there for the showcase anyway, so you're cutting some of that out, which I'm sure some people hate crowds anyways. So 30, 35 doesn't sound bad. Obviously, cheaper's better, but
and especially if they're giving out stuff, because I know E3 is notorious for giving out stuff. They're like, oh, everybody in the crowd, you get a free year of PlayStation Plus. Here you go, and then the people go crazy and stuff like that. So I know the E3 was notorious for giving out the free things. So if free things were included in that 35, then I mean, yeah, I guess that's not a bad deal at all. But
yeah, but most of the E3 was more of a, depending on if you're like a content creator, it was one of the trying to get in front of dev spaces so you can get future game keys or whatever the case was for a lot of the people that went. I mean, shelving out $395 to possibly get something better in the future, maybe to them is nothing. But I mean, Keith, you just $35. What's wrong with you?
I didn't know.
$395.
I didn't know it was behind door number 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
$9.90. Oh, Roger.
I didn't know it was behind door number 2. So,
playing about the wrong things.
So it seems. But it seems something strange has happened. MLB The Show will be coming out.
Uh-oh.
And MLB The Show is no longer a PlayStation exclusive. In fact, it will launch on both Xbox and PlayStation at the same time, but it's going straight to Game Pass, and it's a $70 game if you cop it on the PlayStation. Is this kind of writing on the wall for PlayStation to get their shit together and to figure out how to repurpose some things? Like, is Game Pass seemingly within striking distance?
Game Pass is the greatest thing ever.
Game Pass is way better than PlayStation Now.
I mean,
that's for sure.
Oh yeah, Game Pass is $1 million better than PlayStation Now. Wow, long shot. Everything is better than PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now is garbage. It is the worst streaming service I've ever used in my life. But Game Pass, yes. It doesn't really say that Sony has to get their shit together because Sony still has a lot of exclusives. And that's really the thing that kind of keeps Sony a tier above Xbox right now. But I mean, even we were talking about Outriders earlier. Outriders came out on Game Pass day one on Xbox. Like fully, free, because obviously you pay every month to be to have access to Game Pass. But I mean, they put a lot of heavy hitter titles. I mean, obviously, whenever they bring out Halo, that's gonna be Game Pass. You know, they just bought Bethesda. So all those Bethesda titles are gonna be Game Pass day one free. Like, I think that's where they're trying to beat PlayStation at. I feel like maybe they felt like they lost the exclusive battle. And they're like, well, if we can get a lot of titles just part of our Game Pass, we'll make people think twice about, well, do I want to buy this game on PlayStation, or would I be good with just having an Xbox and paying $15 a month and getting these games for free? Because if you get a game that you like once every 4 months, well, I guess it's $70 now, so about 4.5, almost 5 months. If you get a game you like, then that made Game Pass worth it. I'm pretty sure you can find more than one game you like in 4 to 5 months on Game Pass that makes it worth it. So I do feel like that is that's their end game, and it's probably more so to do with their Game Pass service on phones. Like, they're pretty much their version of Stadia. Like, it seems like Microsoft is grabbing everything. They got their subscription service going with Game Pass, where they're bringing a lot of heavy hitter titles to it day one for absolutely free, as long as you're a member of Game Pass, to where you can still download it and play it, where you don't have to stream it. You can download it straight to your Xbox and play it whenever you want. You know, so you don't have to worry about like, oh, my bandwidth, I can't play Stadia games, or I can't do this. Good. You can still play on your console and be good. You don't have to worry about that. But then you can also play it on your phone when you're out there on the go. So instead of like, PlayStation really don't have an answer for that. So it does seem like that they are playing the long game, and they are kind of betting on that gaming will go more subscription based in the future, as everything else has pretty much done. I mean, music, movies, shows, literally everything we consume to get those products and that entertainment is subscription based. So, you can pretty much bet money that gaming will end up on that path as well at some point, even though we might go kicking and screaming, but it's going to go.
Yeah, I was about to say, I know we talked about Game Pass heavy. That was the biggest thing. I remember when the consoles came out, we hampered one was like, if games are still 60, we're in that weird 60, 70 phase, but that was 3 games a year you're buying for the cost of Game Pass. And that's when we knew about just first party titles, and I think maybe EA kind of announced that around that time
EA
too.
is part of it now too.
Yeah, I remember they announced it, but yeah, that's starting to get in. I just pulled up the list here, and you had Outriders, Oblivion popped up, all the Yakuza games, which I've been playing, and Undertale, Nier Automata, and then Octopath Traveler. Like, that's just the first page of 31 right there of games, new and old, granted. And I know Game Pass does take stuff off, a lot of the older ones, but still, it's like, that's the big game changer. I mean, a lot of people have Xbox, and they're just playing off of Game Pass, and that's going to make it hard for Sony, because eventually it's like, well, if you're going to keep getting these cross platforms, it's like, hey, I could pay 15 a month and kind of almost get every game, it seems like now, like MLB, Outriders, and all that coming out. It's like, why am I going to pay for a console if I got to pay $60-$70 for each game?
Yeah.
So, and then it's like, a lot of them are digital now, so you can't even trade them in. Like, we're going down that road, even though Keith hates it. So now you're paying $60. I mean, unless they open up a return policy, like you can get like $20 back if you give up your license, you kind of stuck with that $60 price tag. So now people are going to be like, I'll just pay 15 a month. And I know I had it for the PC. I canceled it because I stopped playing the Microsoft Flight Simulator. But I mean, I was playing a lot of games on that for $10 a month and was fine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, nobody spoke about it, but not only just Game Pass, but I don't know if anyone else remembers, but when the Xbox Series S and the Series X launched, like Microsoft had a plan to where you pretty much finance those systems and you got Game Pass on top of it. So you paid like $22 or $24 a month or $25 a month, something like that, for like 2 years. And it was like no interest included. So whatever it equaled up, you paid it off completely in 2 years. And it also included your subscription to Game Pass for that entire time and will pay off the console price. So it seems like that's kind of a smart business move, because not everyone has enough money to just go drop $500-$600 whatever dollars on a console day one. But if you could tell me, hey, you can get this console and you only got to pay $30 a month for 2 years. It's like when we used to buy TVs all the time. You know, we would go to Best Buy or go to H.H. Gregg and go get like that $1,500 TV. And it's like, oh yeah, it's only like $70 a month though. Like I can do that for 2 months. It's interest free, long as I pay it off in the 2 years. And it seems like that's what Microsoft is doing. I know they did that with GameStop. That's like supposed to be their partnership with GameStop. It's to offer that finance to people, which it doesn't seem like you have to have really any credit to apply or get approved for. It's like, if you want it, you can have it. It's like a fancy layaway program that you actually get to take away instead of laying it away.
Sony needs to come up with a plan.
Well, Sony has announced that they are shutting down the PS3, PS Vita digital stores this summer. And that has led a curious question of the masses. So I will ask you all the question. Does Sony bear responsibility to ensure that the games that existed on those platforms, so that you can get through their games on the PS3 store that were PS2 and PS1 games that you really can't get on the PS4 or PS5, but is Sony responsible for ensuring that you have a way to get those games in the current ecosystem? Like, is that something that they should have
a way that
for
you can still buy them and play them?
Yes, like should those games that the original Resident Evils and all the games that existed that you can get on the PS3 and all that, those games that are being kind of canceled or however you want to word it this summer, should those games somehow, some way be available to you come this summer? I guess once those stores go offline.
Really, that all kind of boils down to really revenue. Like, how much revenue are those games generating? Like, I'm not going to say that they have to, because if no one's buying them, then it probably proves the point of why they aren't transitioning them over to the new PlayStation Store ecosystem. But what I would probably feel like is going to happen is those games are going to slowly transition into PlayStation Now. PlayStation Now has always kind of seemed at least to me, as being their answer to why can't we play PlayStation 3, 4, 2, 1 games on our PlayStation 5. I think we can play PlayStation 4 games, but I know we can't play PS3 or 2 or 1 on them. So, well, disc, like the disc. You can't play the disc, but obviously you can buy it from the store. So I feel like that's their answer to why we're not making our console 100% backwards compatible like Microsoft does. Well, Microsoft is like 99.1 or so. It's always like that 1 or 2 games that don't work. Black college football, the experience does not work on the Xbox Series X. That's the 1%. And why is it the black game? God damn it. But anyway, so I think that's what they're going to do. They're just going to try to get people, if you want to play those old games, they'll probably just add them to that catalog and hope people pay for PlayStation Now, which I think is $10 a month. I would recommend you don't, but I tried to play Metal Gear Solid 2 on it, and I think Roger was watching, and it was like the most laggy experience ever in my life.
It was entertaining on my part.
Yeah, entertaining. I bet it was the worst. I couldn't believe how laggy it was because I was like, "Is it my internet?" So then I hopped on Stadia and I played Destiny, and it's buttery smooth. I'm like, "Yeah, it's not my internet. It's definitely PlayStation Now." Some games they do let you download, so that's cool. But those games they didn't, so you had to stream them, and it just wasn't up to par. Then could have changed now, could be better. So that was like 2 years ago. But that's probably what's going to happen. They're probably going to roll them into PlayStation Now and try to get people to kind of subscribe to get those games.
I was about to say, they just shut down the store. So if it's whatever games that are compatible, they probably do have in the digital stores of the upper one. And it just boils down to, I mean, how many people are really buying games on their PS3? And they shut down the PSP store. Like I was like,
well,
I figured that. Yeah, I thought that was down. Like I was like, oh, I learned that
they hated the PSP for a long time.
And then the Vita one, I mean, is an old thing. It kind of sucks, but I would say that's probably the most recent out of all 3 of those. That would say, man, that would probably be the most sore point. But we do that with technology now. Things move on and it fails. It can't, like now on Android and probably iOS, if you had a game that got canceled, no one even develops for, they stop letting you download games made for like iOS 3. Like you can't download them and stuff like that if they broke any rules and stuff. So it's just part of the digital phase. You're going to lose some of that, and it sucks. But the Vita sucks because now you're screwed with the Vita completely. If you were playing at the PSP, you could still try to find UMD disc. Good luck with that.
God, those are amazing.
So it's like you have the thing like, yeah, it's just that's technology. It sucks that way. But I mean, they are talking about things that were like 2 generations back. Generally, I don't know when the Vita was, but
the Vita was right after PS3.
Okay.
Oh, it was it? I thought the PSP
PS3
was. I thought PSP was the PS3 era, and then PS Vita came out with the.
I was still in high school with the PSP. I remember that.
Yeah. Maybe PS Vita did drop when the PS4 did. I thought PS Vita was near the end of the PlayStation 3 life cycle.
Could have been.
I could be wrong. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, I mean, they're old. They don't release any new games for them that I'm aware of.
Nah, PlayStation been stopped supporting games for those systems. People in the community made them still. They were making games for
I mean, they still make Nintendo NES games still. It's crazy. But it's like, oh yeah, eventually you're going to have to move on in the digital world. It sucks, but that's what it comes to. And you find some cheap physical games for your PS3 still, if you're still a big fan of it or have a working one. I think all mine died, so.
Nope. I still got the old PlayStation 3 fat right back there, ready to play old games if I ever, which I won't play. No, I just cursed it. I played the Metal Gear Solid games on them because I had the Metal Gear Solid collection or whatever, Legacy collection that had all of the games. Great pickup. Me and Roger went to GameStop, got it for like $10.
So the Vita's 2011 and PlayStation 4's.
Okay.
So one for games, none for Keith.
So yeah, 10-year-old
PlayStation lore.
But yeah, it just happens. But I mean, there was some sort of revenue coming in, which probably doesn't seem likely. Like they want everything PlayStation Now anyway, so I'm sure they'll probably end up being over there eventually.
The last thing was just cost, because I mean they were on separate stores, so that's the thing there. It's like Sony's running something to keep the store up that I don't even know the percentage.
That was the worst store ever. It never loaded on the first try. You always had to back out and come back in.
Store is still terrible.
Keith, you really think they can keep them old games? They can't even develop shells for the PS5. Damn it. You expect them to keep old games up? Come on, man.
Do I think they're responsible to keep these games or curate them for the current gen? No, I don't think they're responsible at all. It's kind of
I feel like there's a big
weird word. I mean, it's just a weird word to use. Like they're responsible for ensuring that I can play my PS1 games on my PS5. And it's like that kind of doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me whatsoever. It's like, well, like if you loved your PS1 so damn much, why didn't you keep it? Like, but you pitched it and ditched it because hey, you moved on to better things and greener pastures, you know, more pixels and all that stuff. So you pitched it. Like if you really loved that PS1 so damn much, you would have kept it.
Not pleased with that analogy.
But I mean, it just that's what it is. Now, would I like for them to curate certain games? I mean, would I love for them to bring X-Men vs Street Fighter and all that up? Sure, but that would just be one game and just for me. They know they would have one sale off of me alone. I don't know if my $15 or whatever they would charge for it is worthwhile for them to put forth the effort to bring it forward to now on the PS5. So
I mean, Keith recently bought this game and he's feeling a little something about it right now.
No, I referenced it in my nostalgia moment of pulling off Akuma's Ultimate and Street Fighter.
I think you recently purchased it.
X-Men. I would. I would if Street Fighter versus X-Men came out. I mean, I almost bought an arcade for it the other day. Gabby slapped my damn credit card out of my hand. I was like, damn it, woman.
I have to kill the spider. Arcade. I'm here. I just have to kill the spider.
But,
okay. I just feel like Keith's story was a lie. That whole thing of the card being smacked to sand.
Terry's not killing that spider. He's going to get Alexa. Alexa, please come in here because it's spider. Look, see, he did kill it.
It looked like he looked at someone.
See, his mic was on mute. He's like, Alexa, get the shoes. Get the shoes.
Spider has me.
See? Told you.
Well, you said you get the dog to come kill it?
No, I killed it. It was on in front of my monitor.
I don't know. Should have let it bite you. I got special powers.
What is he looking for? Oh, you checking for more?
Another spider.
No.
Come in threes.
That one you have to call Trinity in to kill.
Trinity would probably run out our house. Found or dead.
What's our next topic, Keith?
We're on to the Untitled segment.
Narrator.
Oh God!
We are now to the Untitled segment of this channel's podcast moments. The Untitled recommended game segment.
No, it's called Untitled. That's the name of the segment.
Called Untitled.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, it's really weird because I thought Untitled, but we're recommending a title, so I didn't know. Anyways,
I was always colored games. Why is it not colored games?
I think.
I feel like it'd be insinuating that we're recommending games from people of color, and I'm quite certain that 90% of the games that we recommended.
I'll be only halfly, like, you know, I'll be iffy on the game, you know. Don't know if you should play it or not. Roger just be like, don't you play that game.
I guess I will start.
You can start.
I am recommending
take my
Bravely Default 2.
Gonna take my game.
As it is quite fun.
I second that. There we go. That's my game too. Second that.
Then you have two recommendations for Bravely Default 2. Very fun game. Although light, very dark. Very, very dark at times. So
it is.
Don't be fooled by its drawing and its little chibi artwork. The game has some really dark undertones to it. But very great RPG, JRPG. I don't know if Vic is still here, but that's a hell of an RPG to play if you have a Switch.
Yeah. I second what Keith said.
All right, this is me.
Yep, go.
Oh, I recommend Kaze and the Wild Masks. If you love Donkey Kong Country on Super Nintendo, any of the Donkey Kong Country games, preferably 2, is the one it plays the most like. It is 99% Donkey Kong. The other like 1% is like a little bit of Sonic, but it's mostly a Donkey Kong kind of. I don't really want to call it a clone because even though it plays just like it definitely kind of stands on its own. It's a really good game. You can get it on every platform, pretty much PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, Stadia. It doesn't matter. Like you can play it any way you want to play it. It's on all consoles, on all services and platforms, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, Kaze and the Wild Mass doesn't take long to beat. I think it took me like 12 hours to 100% complete the entire game. So it takes you. One of the achievements is actually beating the game under 2 hours, which lets you know that I beat the game under 2 hours. So if you want to run through it, you can. But it's definitely worth. I think it's about 20. I think it's like 20 or $30 somewhere around there. But it's worth it, even though it's could be really short, but it's a good game.
So I'm gonna go old school and recommend, just because I've been watching on Twitch and I've been messing around with an emulator and my actual N64. Go back and play the THQ wrestling games, the big 2 or the
WrestleMania 2000.
WWF WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. Those are probably the 2 good ones. I've been looking at the Japan.
Roger.
Do it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I've been actually looking at the Japan version of those games because I was a huge Pride FC fan and I saw they had like those characters in there and Sakuraba's in it. So I was actually messing around with that one. The WCW ones aren't bad either. I know Gaines prefers Warzone and Attitude over all those.
Roger, don't do this. Don't lie to the people.
But no, if you have a chance and just want to look at some old wrestling games, I would say WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy. Those were 2 of my favorite wrestling games all the time, and just watching people playing on Twitch again, it's like, man, I do really want to play it. It does have its awkwardness, like blocking with your chest, but it's pretty cool.
How do you say people can get that again?
It's just you have to have an N64 or good old emulation for, was it 24 hours, blah, blah, blah.
No, okay.
Of course, you'd only get the emulator and download the ROM because you own the physical copy that's already sitting beside you, but you just want to preserve it for digital reasons.
But now we recommended old games before, and I was like, that'd be a nice change up for me.
Yeah, those are great games. Great games.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this one. Be sure to hit the notification button and the bell so that you can see additional content. Sorry. Anyways,
I don't know. I think we lost Keith.
We'll just edit that out.
That's gonna do it for this one. Be sure to hit that notification button bell to see when we put up more content, including more podcasts in the future. We'll be having coverage of, we're hitting that time of year. There's gonna be tons of game announcements for the second half of the year, more trailers. So I'm sure we'll have a lot more. And I'm pretty sure we'll be doing some Outriders stuff at some point in time in the future. So with that being said, this is the Almost in Full Color panel signing off. Peace, be easy, and be blessed.